What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we're going to be jumping into a new franchise series simulation where I take hold of the Miami Marlins and try to turn them into a World Series winner. So we're going to start heading down to select the Miami Marlins here on our list. This is with the default, the most recent roster update from MLB The Show. And so as we can see with the Marlins, 18th ranked overall, 29th in contact, 21st in power, 17th in pitching, 8th in defense, 14th in speed, with an overall team budget of $110.5 million. So we're going to get into this here. And so we're going to leave all this on except for the extra runner. That goes away this year. So that's a very good thing for Major League Baseball. All right, so we're going to start in spring training just so that we can do a couple of the other roster situational things that we need to do. I want to get new coaches in here, new scouts. It's going to be very important to get some very good scouts in here. So anyone that's not really an A or a B at the very latest, definitely has to go. So we got to get rid of third base coach, pitching, and hitting coach. And there's other options for our farm director, but for now, we just want to focus on these. Usually what I like to do is go after one of these coaches that across the board here have the no negatives. I think it's a good thing to try to help the team and be able to have a really good coaching staff. So, now that being said, if like a case like this that we haven't found a single one that has no negatives in these first few selections, I will go with whatever coach has the least problematic entry in terms of not losing out too much. So all right, so we've done that now. I also, because of the Marlins and who they are, we definitely need good scouts. I think that it's important for a franchise like Miami that is not going to be really pushing itself to the upper limits of payroll, that we have some really good scouts on the books, because it's, to me, it's one of the biggest ways for this team to really improve overall. So I usually like to try to spread out the regions so that there's East, Central, International, and West, but a lot of the times we don't actually get the best of that. And usually the positions of focus for my scouts is really just discovery and efficiency. If they're very good in terms of being able to discern pitchers or position players, whatever the case may be, it is something that is a bonus. But for the most part, I try to focus on those two aspects. All right. And as you can see, it is kind of a long shot to find these scouts that are going to be able to help the team in a big way. Let's see. All right, I think I might just go with this one because his efficiency is better, even though his discovery is worse. Let's just do that. All right. Now, obviously, there's opportunities to try to negotiate long-term contracts with our players right now. Not really looking to do that at this moment. I think that we really need to start to figure out what we have on the books. before we can really start to evaluate. So obviously, pitching is a necessity. First base, there's just a lot of on this roster. So we have to kind of go through. There are some players right off the bat that aren't really going to be here for a long-term rebuild. So going to give an opportunity to try to see what we can potentially receive for these players long-term. But we'll see how it goes. Now, I will say this. The Marlins have a nice starting rotation. It's not obviously the greatest in baseball, but it is a very good starting rotation, especially when you have the actual real life 2022 National League Cy Young Award winner in Sandy Alcantara. But this Marlins team likely won't be able to afford them long term, but we're going to try to see exactly what we can do. So now that we've changed up our coaches and our scouts, I'm going to go ahead and simulate to the start of the regular season. So our trade block is set. Let's set these. All right, so that we can have some things coming in. So we have a lot of available budget space, obviously. Not a ton of guys making big money on this Marlins roster. But what I want to do is I want to skip ahead to the draft. This is going to, let's see, we have an offer coming in from the Mariners. Diego Castillo for Jorge Soler. Now that helps us with our budget. Still early in the season, so not much action there. But this is a 28-year-old pitcher who's got another 3 seasons, well, 2.5 seasons with our franchise if we trade for him at a much lower cost than what Soler would be. But I think we could probably get something a bit better for Soler. So we're going to say no to that. We're going to clear these notifications. So we're going to jump back, skip ahead to the draft. Phillies have an offer for us. Zach Eflin, who they have listed as a reliever. Solid season so far, but he's about to be free agent. Yeah, I think I can still find a better deal for Avisayo. So we'll just say, alright, let's see. Alright, still jumping ahead here. Phillies have another offer. Definitely for Soler. We'll still skip on that. Get through the end of May. Diamondbacks have an offer. Manuel Rivera. Yeah, we're definitely saying no to this. So, all right, skipping through. All right, the Rays have a trade. Jalen Beeks for Soler. I don't think it's worth it. I think once we get closer to the deadline, it's going to be go to the draft. As you can see, we have the 6th pick, and so the best player scouted, because these prospects are blue chip. These are going to be the top ones. So they're very well scouted. So we're definitely going to try to pick the top one, especially if you can get an arm. So let's see. So usually what I'll do in these drafts is I will take whatever players we have scouted at least into the green. After that, I'll let the auto simulation take over from there. Yeah, so auto sim the rest. All right, so we're going to take a look and see what we have with our draft picks. So Eloy Hernandez, our first overall pick, 93 overall. So that's a solid pull there. Not too much else that's going to be truly to write home about. Johnny Ayala, shortstop. When it comes to these draft picks, you just sign them all. All right. So now we're going to simulate ahead to All-Star Week. The Astros have a trade for us. Phil Maton for Miguel Rojas. Maton hasn't been in a ton of games. Yeah. And the thing with Rojas is that he's been a solid contributor for us. And we really wouldn't have anybody else to put at shortstop if we don't keep him. So we're going to pass on that. Yeah, the Phillies are continuing to try to unload Eflin. And so far he's had a good season. But again, when it comes to Rojas, we wouldn't have anybody else to really put in that spot. So we're going to skip ahead on that. All right. Twins have an offer. Caleb Theobar. Pass on that. Okay, so now we're into July. So we're gonna nothing's really happening on the trade front either. But now we're going to reevaluate this team. We're going to see where we are in terms of our necessities. So, yeah, nothing has really worked out well for us thus far. Pitching staff. So, again, a solid rotation for the Marlins. I think that there's going to be a bit of a need to upgrade the bullpen here. But more so than anything else, I think that we need to start really trying to adjust the lineup. Now, all right. So we definitely need to work on this lineup. Our bench is dreadful. Not a ton of positive offensive contributions throughout this lineup. So we're going to go ahead and start trying to figure out what's the best avenue to approach this. I do like to look at what the current roster strategy is for all the teams. So obviously the Mets, Nationals are rebuilding, so that's a team that we can try to look at. The Cubs as a rebuilding squad. Now, this is the 2022 season, not 2023, so we're definitely going to have to take a look at the Cubs, the Reds, Pirates, all right, Diamondbacks, Rockies. Man, there's a ton of clubs on this one. Giants that are listed as rebuilding. So there should be a lot of opportunity to potentially make trades here for us. Now, sometimes they're not the most accurate in determining that at this point in the season. But as we can see, bottom three in terms of where these clubs kind of play themselves out, then it makes sense that these teams are the ones that are finding themselves in these positions. So, as you can see, we're very far off, 31 and 50, 14 and a half games back of the second wild card spot. So we want to try to start making some strides and some improvements. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here. Now, again, our starting rotation isn't terrible. I would like to upgrade it if we can. But when you're looking at kind of these top-notch players, you're going to be dealing with high dollar amounts. So that's always something that has to factor into any decision. But what I would like to do is try to build up the bullpen a little better. So if there's opportunities to kind of get better in that regard, I definitely want to try to take that option. So obviously with a team like the Giants that was listed as rebuilding, there's going to be some players that are potentially able to help us as a team is trying to build up. So we definitely need corner outfield help. We need center field help, first base, third base, shortstop. I mean, we need the whole nine. So trying to find pieces that will help us do that, help us grow long term, is definitely the avenue that I like to try to pursue. So let me see. Wonder how Crawford past this expiration date on this game right now. Okay. So let's see. Trying to see exactly what kind of deal we'd be able to swing. Now, if we take, it's still not enough. Even if we take Slater out. Now, all right. So there's some options there with the Giants, but let's see what more we can potentially do. Now, we can take on the contract of a guy like Chris Bryant very easily, but we're then losing two of our most valuable trade assets at this point to try to make that happen. And while Bryant will definitely help alleviate one of these two spots, all right, so we don't necessarily have to include both to get it done. So, all right. Okay, so Chris Bryant obviously is making a ton of money for a very long time, but he's versatile. He's having a solid season for Colorado, and we honestly can get him for pretty much peanuts here. So, okay, so we can go down that path. Let's see. Now, Christian Walker. We'd actually be able to get this deal done. I'm which would improve our first base. Let's see what it would actually take to end up getting this deal done. Wonder if we try to put both. Okay, so yeah, that's not good. So this would improve us at third and at first without taking on a ton of money, and while also giving us quite a bit more years than the players that we currently have, right? Because Rojas, yeah, he's still on a renewable contract, and Walker still got a couple years of arbitration. But let's see if it's even something that we can get done. So yeah, so it would take quite a hefty price because of our overall shortstop prospect, Khalil Watson. All right, so let's see. So as we're running through, kind of just taking a look and seeing what we can get from some of these other squads. So I'd be able to get Happ and Suzuki. So not a ton of overall options really, but all right. So I guess the best options that we would have are going to be either going with Christian Walker and Josh Rojas, which would improve 2 positions for us. Or if we trade one of these 2 guys for Chris Bryant and a low-level prospect, that improves a 1-for-1 kind of swap. But the positions that we're losing here, we're not gaining back on this side of things, is the issue. Because right now, Garrett Cooper has been one of the more productive players for the Marlins this season. And then Joey Wendell has been solid enough. But it's almost like a nothing trade when we deal with Rojas and Wendell. And likewise with Christian Walker. He is having better kind of overall season than Garrett Cooper, but not by a ton. So I think what we're gonna end up doing is dealing with the Rockies, getting a guy like Chris Bryant, especially that it's gonna just give me a low-level prospect that I would have to give up. So we're gonna make this deal. Now, I also think that there's probably another move that can be made with these very same Rockies. Yeah, see, this is close. Okay. So, definitely should be able to swing some sort of deal here. So, let's go down this path. Alright, so we're going to try to see exactly what it would take to get a deal done. I mean, I know that it's going to end up taking a couple of prospects to really get something going. But we could swing a deal. So essentially 2 deals with the Rockies to help us bolster everything. Pretty much. So we're trying to see how we can make this deal happen to get Jonathan Daza, Jose Iglesias, and CJ Cron. Yeah, it's going to cost us quite a bit. I don't even know that we get this deal done. So if we take out, if we add in somebody else, might be able to swing Grichuk. That's our third piece. Grichuk is a good guy for a platoon situation. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we're going to be able to get this deal done. Not without severely undercutting our own production. Yeah, so if we take him out, all right, so I'm just trying to see what kind of deal we can make to kind of maximize our opportunities and our value here. Now, obviously, we already have a stud superstar second baseman in Jazz Chisholm, but our bench needs upgrading as well. So that's where Hampson would come in if we can swing this deal without having to give up a ton more than we're already giving up. Seem like they're really willing to deal. completely upending our ability. So we can get this deal done with CJ Crone and Jose Iglesias. Problem is that Iglesias honestly only has one more season, and I'd like a bit more control. Alright, so we're going to try to see if we can swing this with a little bit of a better player in Ryan McMahon, who has more time left. Because obviously, we're trying to build this Marlins squad into a championship caliber team, and it's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be one of these things where we're going to be able to kind of overnight make them a contender. Yeah, so we'd be getting rid of... All right, so I guess at least for now, we can get Iglesias. So I'm just trying to see. All right, so let's make this deal. Let's now head back to our roster. Obviously, we got to make a roster move. But let's head to the lineup first. Add these guys in. So we're now going to kind of revamp this a bit. So we're adjusting the lineup here, trying to maximize what we're receiving from this lineup. Not a ton to write home about in this lineup at all. All right. Definitely need to improve the bullpen. There's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 arms that we really need to kind of get better with. So let's figure out this roster situation. We're just gonna send you down. Okay. So we're gonna simulate another couple of weeks. 40-man roster issue now. All right, so we're going to simulate to All-Star Week, and then we will pick up from there White Sox have an offer for us. Joe Kelly is having a solid year. Another season on the books for Miguel Rojas. And again, Rojas has been solid for us. He does have another year, and we know that Iglesias is about to be a free agent. But you know what? I'm going to take this. We need to improve the bullpen, and Joe Kelly can help us do that. All right. So we've now gotten to the All-Star break as we clear up some of these notifications here. So some trades going down. Kind of really kickstarted the party on that. But we're now at the All-Star break. We're going to go ahead and call it a stream for this week. Make sure you tune in next week as we take the Marlins from the All-Star break through the end of the 2022 campaign, see exactly where we end up at year's end and how we can try to improve to make this Miami Marlins franchise a World Series winner once again. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Keep it locked in by hitting the subscribe button, as it does a huge service as we try to grow this community. Let all your friends that are baseball fans know this is the channel to watch in 2022 and beyond. So keep it locked in. I'll catch you guys next week. Peace.